Hello fiction fans, T.H. Leatherman here. Today I'm going to give advice to new writers. We all begin somewhere. We start writing because we love writing and we love storytelling. Over time we grow and become better writers. We talk to other writers and we get different tips and tricks to make our writing better. Rather than have you find this out on your own, I think I will give you a few tips right now that will help you be a better writer right away. So with that, I give you T's 9 tips for being a better writer. Tip number 1, find your people. Auntie M, there's no place like home. As writers, nothing helps us out more than discussing writing with other people who have the same passions we do. With that in mind, you should probably find a critique group in your area of writers who write in the same genre that you do. These people get together on a weekly basis to discuss their writing and how to make it better. Each person reads each other's writing and offers suggestions about how to improve the story. Another thing you can do is to go to writing conventions. These conventions are where writers gather together for a few days at a time and they go to workshops and network and talk about the craft of writing for several days at a time. Talk about awesome! Another thing you can do is to join your local writing group. I belong to several. Tip number 2, read. Mr. Student, did you read the chapter that was for today's assignment? No, man, I watched the movie. If you're going to write, you should read in the genre that you're writing in. This will tell you what people are writing in that genre currently. That doesn't mean that you should follow in their footsteps, but you can give you a good place to start. Another thing you can do is read books on the craft of writing. This is a great place to get a good solid base of understanding about how to write a good story. Number 3, write the story with the goal of the story in mind.
What is your quest?
To find the Holy Grail.
What is your favorite color?
Blue, no yellow. Ah! What is the goal of your story? If you're writing a mystery, the goal is to solve the mystery. Perhaps your goal is to battle evil, whatever the evil of your world is. Perhaps the object of the story is to save the world. I must save the world from utter destruction. Whatever it is, know what that goal is before you start writing. Number 4, know where your story is going. Where am I going? And what am I doing in this handbasket? Now, to be fair, there are 2 ways to approach writing. There's pantsing and there's plotting. And some people use a combination of the 2. If you're a pantser, that means that you get down and you start writing. You write until you get to where you want to go. This is not to say that you just write and write and write and have no idea where the story is going. You generally have a set of points that you want to go through in order to reach the end of the story. The other method of writing is called plotting. You put out in an outline form the direction that your story is going to go. This doesn't mean that you always follow the outline. Sometimes your characters don't agree with what you're doing and they go off in their own direction. So you end up having to revise the plot. Oh well, let's see what they do. Sometimes they have better ideas than the writer does. There are also several different ways that you can go about writing a story. There is the W method, the 3-act structure, there is the 6-point method, and the 7-point method. These are all different ways of putting your story together. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow all of them. You should probably choose one or a hybrid of one or the other and follow that to your heart's content. Don't try to follow all of them. Find out what works for you and stick with it. Writing can be difficult. Sometimes it's hard to sit down at the desk and put words on paper. So find the strategy for building a story that works for you. All the methods are kind of similar. They start with an introduction of the characters. There is a build-up, a climax, failure, another build-up, another climax, and then failure. And then, of course, there's some sort of resolution, either a reversal of fortune or the hero succeeds, and then you tie up all the loose ends. However you put your story together, just remember that you have to know how the story ends. You have to have that in mind so that you don't make any mistakes along the way. Rule number 5, nobody's perfect. So Mr. Hero blew up an orphanage. Are we sure this is the guy we want saving the world? Perfect characters are boring. It's not fun to read about someone who's always succeeding at everything that they try. Your hero can't always have perfect teeth, a winning smile, and always making the right choices. Let them make mistakes. Let them have some flaws. Perfect characters are not fun to read about. The character could be arrogant, not smart, self-centered, or perhaps impulsive. All these things could add to a flawed character without taking away the ability for them to be the hero. Number 6, your character needs to grow. Why are you watering me? If you're going to be a mushroom and grow off the bowl that they're feeding you, I want you to grow a brain. Good heroes grow throughout the story. They change over time and become better people as the story progresses. Think about some of the best heroes in the stories that you've heard about. Maybe Han Solo, Harry Potter, or Pinocchio. All these characters start off from one frame of mind and through the arc of the story grow to become better people by the end of the story. This is what makes them terrific characters. Number 7, let your characters struggle. But enough about how great I am. How great do you think I am? Stories without conflict are boring. Your hero can't go through his life solving everything that comes up right away. Let them struggle. Let them have failures. Let them find bad things happening to people along the way. If something is going bad for the character, make it worse. When they win something, make sure they're losing something too. What is the hero's cost of success? People like underdogs. People want to read stories about characters overcoming the odds. Force them out of their comfort zones. Don't be afraid to kill off the good guys. But if you do kill off the good guys, make sure it means something for the hero. Make sure it's part of his growth cycle. And it does something for the story to make the plot better overall. Number 8, success does not happen by accident. So there I was, and Mr. Villain had his death ray aimed at me, when all of a sudden this meteor appears out of nowhere and kills him. Boy, was that lucky for me! The hero cannot win by coincidence. Your readers are going to cry, "Foul!" This, however, is not true of bad things that happen to your character. In that case, coincidences can be useful. If the hero is trying to steal something, perhaps the police walk by and see him doing it. Perhaps as your hero is trying to save the world, there's a plague spread by butterflies. It's not connected to the main story, but hey, it makes things worse. When the hero wins, the hero has to win by their own actions. Or it has to be something that the hero set in motion earlier in the story. Having the hero win by coincidence cheats the reader. Don't do it. Number 9, avoid cliches. I avoid cliches like the plague. Hit him like a ton of bricks. Bolt him over with a feather. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Don't use cliches. There are overused phrases in everyday language, and you can do better. It's okay to rewrite cliches. If they're herding squirrels instead of cats, or finding rubies in the rough, these are okay. Be creative about how you put those cliches into your story. Just don't make it the same phrase that everyone's heard 1,000 times. It's also important to pay attention to the tropes of your genre. If you're writing a romance, then the girl has to end up with the guy. Writing a mystery, then the detective needs to figure out who done it by the end of the story. Writing sci-fi, there needs to be some sort of advanced technology at play in the story. So, in summary, 1, find your people. You write bad poetry? I write bad poetry too. Let me count the ways. 2, read. Dude, I just put this book under my head and the information, it just like flowed into my head. It was like So transcendental. 3, start with the goal in mind. What? I don't know that. Ah! 4, know where the story is going. No, seriously, it was a left turn at Albuquerque. 5, find your hero's flaws. So what qualifies as a minor atrocity? 6, your hero needs to grow. So there's more to life than killing bad guys? 7, there needs to be struggle. Why can't things ever be easy? Dude, you're in a story. Roll with it. 8, avoid coincidence. Boy, we lucky the earthquake swallowed the villain's lair. We never would have beat him otherwise. 9, avoid cliches. It's raining cats and dogs, but also hamsters. Isn't that interesting? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. I post weekly. If you have a question or topic you want me to cover, message me on Facebook. If you enjoyed this episode, like or comment below. So long, fiction fans!